Hey everybody. Um, Good morning. Thank you for joining me again at Golden Keys Life Coaching. So really quick, I'm gonna try to make this as short as possible. Let's talk about money for a second. And I'm talking specifically about wealth, okay, um, and poverty mindset. So real quick, um, I was looking at the news and about the Black Lives Matter lady that bought all those homes and all that other stuff, right? So right now the social media is crucifying this lady, right? Because she took millions of dollars from the or through the Black Lives Matter organization, I guess, to buy homes, $1 million homes, and all this kind of stuff. So here's the thing: I kind of got mixed feelings about that one. Um, her being a Marxist and all that extra stuff, basically building her wealth off the backs of the problems of black people. Okay. Honestly, I don't know. I don't have an opinion on it, but I have mixed feelings about it because people have been doing that for years. You know what I'm saying? Like, people do it in their everyday lives. They date people that got more than them. So they can build up themselves, you know what I'm saying, off the back of this other person. It happens in some workplaces, where they use your skills and your talents and they're not paying you, but they're steady building up their business. Like, it happens all the time. Capitalism, this is the world we live in, okay? So my thing is, now that a black woman has perfected the mindset of capitalism, now she's under scrutiny. I just think that's funny. I was looking at the interview and I noticed that the newscaster guy was like, she got a hold of wealth. She got a hold of wealth. Like, that statement right there said a lot to me. Like, yeah, that's what they don't want us to get a hold to. So here's what I want to say to you. We got to get this money, y'all. Okay? You cannot let these people keep us from what's rightfully ours. You feel what I'm saying? There's enough money for everybody. I don't understand why my people, especially my black people, like to, when you see somebody doing what, actually I do understand. When you see somebody doing well, the first thing you want to do is try to knock them back down. You want to say they doing this, they doing something illegal. It's everything but what a person is truly doing. You know what I'm saying? People just, I don't know, that's just people. But a lot of that comes from the trauma from the black migration, okay? When the slaves was moving from the south to the north, that's where that I'm better than you, I got a degree, started happening between black people. And it's still trickling through our bloodline like crazy. And it's ridiculous. Like, we don't have to be like that no more. But a lot of our cellular DNA has not gotten that memo that we don't have to live like that no more. We don't have to backbite and scratch and do. It's enough for everybody. Okay, but there's a lot of people out here that don't understand that still. So the better you do, the more people you're going to lose. Okay, because they're in a poverty mindset. Okay. So, am I rich? No. Am I on the road to wealth? Yeah. Simply because I want it different. I didn't come from a background with people who have money. My mother was 16, my dad was 17. My father wasn't in my life. My mother was on Section 8 all my life that I know of. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a suburb, but the apartment complex I grew up in was Section 8. I didn't really see my mother work a lot. Here and there she did. Church was her be all end all. There was times when we didn't have food and she would send us to my grandmother's house to eat. Like, that's where I come from. It was automatic, that poverty mindset. If you have a daughter, you raise her in the projects, you raise her in Section 8. She gets older, she gets pregnant, she automatically knows it's just time for her to get her Section 8 and raise her baby in the project. And it just keeps going generationally. And people don't understand we don't have to stay here, okay? We can actually want better for ourselves. But everybody doesn't get that. And that's okay. That's okay. But for me, 7 years in public housing, I couldn't take it. I always worked unless I was having one of my children. I have 4. But I always did work. But I remember coming home from work and neighbors around me would literally wait for my car to pull up to start knocking on my door. You got a dime? You got a lighter? Can I pop my popcorn in your microwave? You got some peanut butter? You got some milk? It was just, and I was just like, look, Okay, if I can get up and go to work every day, y'all can too. All right. Um, and I worked and I was still getting food stamps and stuff like that. Um, but it was just it got to be 7 years, and I worked very hard. I went through a whole lot that I'm sure I'll share with you at a later date. I went through a lot, and I pushed and I pushed but I always worked very hard. And it got to the point where I feel like I turned my fate around, where opportunities started coming to me because I worked so hard as a single parent. Um, Even though I lived in the projects, I was getting food stamps and stuff. I never had that mentality. When I got married very young. And so when I got a divorce and I had to go on welfare for the first time, I was like, I remember being in the welfare office crying. Like, I was embarrassed. Like, I didn't want to repeat this cycle, that my mother carried to me. I didn't want that for my kids. But this is the path we had to take. And I'm actually very grateful for it because it taught me a lot, and it helps me help others, okay, that experience. So, I was in the project for like 7 years, and I remember finally getting picked for Section 8. And I remember I was waiting on it, pins and needles, for a couple years, like, man, I can't wait to get my I just want this. And I had to stop and think about that, like, look at how you're thinking. That's a dependent way of thinking. You want to be very independent, but your thinking is dependent. Those two things don't match. I would see people in my environment get a job, a decent job. And then once their child support starts coming out, their checks or stuff starts happening, they will literally quit their jobs just to keep their food stamps and keep all the other benefits. And honestly, I don't blame the people for that, because this particular county is kind of set up like that. It's a dependent, they thrive on programming. And so if you are a dependent, you will do very well in this particular city. But once you become too independent, they can make it harder for you to stand on your own 2 feet. It's easy for you to want to go back into that cuddle comfort zone of staying in public housing. So if I ever lose my job, I don't have to pay rent. That's fear. That's a fear-based thinking. You know what I'm saying? It's you're already planning for lack. You know what I'm saying? So I had to notice those characteristics in myself. And so when I finally got my Section 8 letter, I got all my stuff together and I went to the appointment, and I remember sitting there with all my proof, my paperwork, and I was just like, I'm sick of these people in my business. Why do I have to give them all this? And I was just like, I was sitting there, a question was just posed to me like, do you want your daughter to be on Section 8? No. Then you have to leave. And I said, you know what? You're right. Because I have the means to work. I have the means to pay full rent, now. I was working at the health department. Like, an awesome opportunity just came to me. And I just feel like it came to me because of my faithfulness, And so I left. I said, no, I don't want this for her. She has to see something different. Children learn by imitation. We can tell our kids anything. We can tell our kids whatever, but they watch what we do. And this is not the life I want for her. I want her to thrive and not just survive. I want her to be able to travel and learn different cultures and know her culture, her roots. Like, I didn't want this for her. And so I had to leave. Okay. And so I said, so what am I going to do? I'm in public housing. They know I have a decent job now. And now they've raised my rent to a point where it's not worth paying this for the projects. I'm not going to pay $700 to live in the projects. That just doesn't make sense. So I said, April, you're going to have to go. So at the time I was doing health insurance. I had a health insurance license. I did some research like, okay, what cities pay the most for this? And 5 cities came up, and I did the most outlandish thing ever. And I really tested my own bravery, and I chose Vegas. Okay, we're going to Vegas. I planned, I saved. Long story short, by the time we left, I had a few stacks, and I rented a minivan. A good friend of mine came up from Arizona, from my hometown, to help me drive. And I packed all my stuff, whatever could fit in this van, and my dog and my 2 children. I packed whatever I could fit in there. Everything else I just left behind. I said, this is stuff, it's things. I got it before, I'll get it again. Let's go. I gotta show my kids something else. I gotta show them something different. And had the confidence in myself, which is very important, that if I can make it through the things that I've made it through here, I'm going to be able to make it okay. So I planned, I did research, I made phone calls, and we got to Vegas. And I stayed in one of those hotels, like hotel apartments where you have to pay weekly, for about a month. And then I found me a job after 2 weeks. And then I found me an apartment, and life was good. Like, I was so proud of myself. Like, yes, 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 yes. This is what I want my kids to know. Okay. So, I left there and relocated again for a love interest. And then things have just been going from there. And so what I had to learn is to know I don't want money. You got to get out of the mind frame of just wanting money. I don't just want money. I want wealth. Okay. We got to stop GoFunding me when our relatives die. Like, why do us as a people, especially Black people, why do we think life insurance is not important? Okay. It is very important. You got to stop leaving your loved ones behind with nothing. It's already hard to say goodbye to a loved one, but then you leave them behind with financial strain. You know what I'm saying? There's no pride in have to beg for money to bury somebody that you love. You got to go to strangers to get money for somebody that you love. You understand what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. So we got to quit leaving our kids behind with nothing. The fact is, we're going to die. Okay? We are going to die one day. And you got to do your babies better than that. Don't leave that stress on your children. I've lost a parent. I've lost a brother. I've lost some people. So I understand that. And when my mother left, we had to get donations, and I remember having a conversation with my brother, like, we're not going to live like this. We cannot do this to each other. And unfortunately, my brother had to leave as well. And I'm so glad he heard me, because he took care of his business. Okay. And so what I'm learning is, people think, okay, you get a car, you got a house. None of that is wealth. That's not wealth. It's a liability. Okay. Liability means things that you're liable for. Liabilities usually cost you money. Okay. Assets bring you money. All right. So I did get to a point where I was able to become a homeowner. Very proud of myself. Not simply because for that reason. I didn't do it for glamour. I didn't do it for vanity like a lot of people do. I did it for my children. My youngest son is special needs. So no matter what happens to mom, I want to make sure he always has a place to call home. Okay? No matter what's going on with his brothers and sisters, he has a home. That's why I became a homeowner. That's why I cleaned up my credit. That's why I sacrificed buying things and going places so that I can set things up for them, because I'm not going to be here forever, right? But buying a home is not an asset. It's another liability, okay? When you get that $100,000 mortgage, loan, that's money that has to go out of your house every month. So that's not an asset. It's a liability, okay? Credit card, debt, and all that. That's money going out. All right. The way to build assets is property or business, pretty much. So if you look at your money every month, no matter where you are on the scale of income, look at your money every month. If you have more going out and not enough coming in, you're in trouble. You are in trouble. Okay. I don't care how many cars you got. I don't care how many houses you got. I don't care how many trips you take. I don't care how many times you get your hair done, your nails done, your lashes. I don't care what you got on, how many pictures you take on social media. You're broke. Period. You're broke. Okay. You're broke up here and you're broke right here. Okay. Until you get yourself to the point where your assets, what's coming in positive, what's being deposited into your accounts is more than what's going out of your account every month, that's wealth, okay? And the way you get assets to come in is typically through real estate, okay? Buy you some property, rent it out, whatever, real estate, owning your own business that is for profit, okay? And I wouldn't even say stocks, because it's rigged. All that stuff is rigged. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even say stocks. The best way to do that is through property and owning your own business of some sort. You know what I'm saying? Where your passive income. You know what I'm saying? But until what's being deposited into your account is more than what has to go out every month, you're not wealthy. I'm so sorry. You're just not. Okay. A lot of people, they on Facebook taking these trips to us. So don't believe that stuff. Facebook is one big black magic scheme. Okay. It's an illusion. What you see people doing on social media, okay, but it look good, but is it real? Okay, a lot of people, you're using credit cards, they're getting loans just to take these trips and look all fancy and all this stuff until you can pay cash for a trip. Okay? You're not wealthy. Okay? When you pass away and your people can pay cash for you, okay, and you have something to leave and they're not GoFunding me and all this stuff, until that happens, you're broke. Okay? And it starts up here. It's not about this. It's the way you think. Okay? And you have to prioritize. You know what I'm saying? There's a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I highly recommend everybody get this book. This book taught me so much. I listened to it on the way to work just to understand this. He was like, money, building wealth is truly like the game of Monopoly. And the whole goal is, 4 houses in a hotel, and he was mentored under the person that owns Hilton Hotels. Money is energy. Okay. It's not paper. It's energy. The paper, the coin, is how the energy is transferred. Okay. You have to have a good relationship with money. You have to think of money like a love relationship as well. Okay. So not only do you have to get your assets more than your liabilities, you have to have a good relationship and thinking towards money. So if you're a religious person and you're buying into that, the love of money is the root of all evil, then you're going to be broke. Okay. And first of all, that's not even what the scripture says. Okay. No, I'm sorry. People will say, forgive me, money is the root of all evil, is what people are quoting. That's not the scripture. The scripture says the love of money. However, if you don't love money, it's not going to love you back, right? If you got a relationship with a person and you don't love them, what do you expect them to give you back? They're not going to give you much back. So you have to be okay with the fact that you love money. You want money. Money is okay. There's nothing wrong with having money. Okay. It's just when you get it, what are you going to do with it? That's the problem. And most of that comes from self-discipline, just being disciplined and not getting control of your own vices. We all have them. Okay. So you got to learn to have a good working relationship with money so it wants to be around you. It wants to come to you. It wants to be with you. Like when I have paper money, I don't even crumble and fold up my bills anymore. I'm careful how I even lay my dollar bills in my wallet. I treat my money with care. And so when I do that, it wants to be around me. It wants to come to me. It trusts me. You understand? You gotta think differently. It's all up here. All right. So I just want to put that out there. Like she took this lady, she started buying property. Okay. And she possibly, because this is there's no evidence, but possibly buying these homes on the backs of the problems of black people. However, other races been doing this capitalism stuff for years, building their stuff off of us. Okay. For years. And we do it to each other all the time. So why is it that now this black woman got a hold to this wealth? Because he's like, she got a hold to wealth. Basically, the newscaster was like, she got a hold to wealth. That's the problem. Because they know we don't know what to do with it when we get it. We're going to go our purses, Gucci belts, go to Cabo, dumb shit. We just going to do dumb stuff. Okay, that's the thing. You can get those things, but wait until your assets is more than your liabilities. You don't need to be doing that. Buy your necessities. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that I want right now that I could buy, but I'm not going to because it's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like for what? If I do buy it, it's typically for me to have somebody else say, ooh, look at what she got. And I don't care about that stuff. I don't care about that. Okay? I don't care. So we got to change our mindset, people. Okay? Because you see what happens. Other races been doing this for years. And as soon as a black woman get all this property in her, Now there's a problem, because that's where the wealth is. They don't want us owning anything. Okay? So that's why you need to work harder to get it. You need to find out what it is that they're trying to keep you from and keep us from, and you need to go get it. Okay? So that is my story on how I view wealth and how I was able to, pull myself out. It's up here. You got to stop being a dependent. Stop being codependent on people, places, and things. Love people, love places, love things, but don't attach to any of those things. And be good to the ones that come after you. Real quick, I had a conversation with one of my little cousins. Shout out to Mookie. And he said, it is my goal to be a millionaire in this lifetime, but if I can't do it, I damn sure gonna make sure my daughter is one. That was such a respectable statement to me, and I love it. Okay, if I don't make it to see a million, one of these kids will. You know what I'm saying? But why is this not important in our community? Why are we so okay being a victim all the time? Like, why can't we collectively think like this and go get everything they're trying to keep us from, and make things better for the generations that come after that? We can come out of this, but we don't have enough people that think independently. Okay, and Jesus is not the answer to it. It's not the answer. That's not it, okay? And if that is what you believe, he's actually giving you everything you need, but you're still waiting on some outer entity to get it done. No, he's waiting on you to do it. He gave you, if you're made in God's image, then you have everything you need to make this happen. So what you still praying for? What you still fasting for? Just do it. Be disciplined and stop wanting to follow everybody else and have what they got and go where they go. Stay in your lane and do you. You know what I'm saying? Professional High Priestess. The Professional High Priestess has a very awesome channel. I suggest you all go watch her channel. And she has these things called Stay in Your Lane. And I love it. Stay in your lane. Okay? Focus on you and what you should be doing for you and the ones that come after you. We got to start thinking generationally and not just for yourself. Life is more than that. There's a life to come after this. So we got to stop leaving our babies behind with nothing. Stop leaving your children, your family behind with nothing. Leave them with wealth as well as your legacy. Okay? Y'all have a good day.